Hi guys, so I totally did not film an intro today, so we're just gonna jump right into it.
In with my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, and I literally just put that everywhere. I know it's winter, but I just like to look super glowy because, again, like I said last time, I like to feel really healthy or look healthy. Just bounce that in. I have tried to film this past week like 3 times, and I've just hated everything. So, hopefully, just being a little more relaxed will help and not forcing it. Sometimes it's better when you just don't force it. Next, I'm going in with my MAC concealer. I said I wasn't going to talk through this as much, but here I am, talking. I don't have as many problem areas as I did last time, but when I'm going for a little more glam look, I still do a lot of concealer. So what's been up? Anybody doing anything cool? Oh boy, I hear my kiddos. Here we come. Okay. Got interrupted there. So my makeup brush took a pooper on me, broke, well, actually my kids broke it. So I am using my sponge to put everything on now, which I have not been hating. Normally I hate it. Normally I only use my sponge for this type of stuff, and then my foundation's always with a brush, but the past couple of days I haven't had a brush to use. So I've been using my beauty sponge, and I'm really liking the finish it's giving and how it's a little bit lighter coverage, and you can really see the glow through, which makes me feel healthy. You know, if I have a good glow, I feel healthy. Anybody watching good shows lately? I just kind of jumped on the Handmaid's Tale train, which I know I'm a little late to that game, but whew, it's crazy, isn't it? I had to read that in high school. Like, isn't that nuts? Like, I'm watching it and I'm like, I can't believe I read this. I must have blocked it out because I don't really remember much of this. And I'm sure the story is more intense in TV form, but it's intense. So down here, I know in my last video I said don't swipe, but down here I do kind of want to drag that down. So I am swiping a little bit. This is what I have to do when I don't have a brush. Usually I would use a brush to blend that in down there, but I have not gone and bought a new one, so that's what we're doing these days. Next, I am just using my NARS Radiant Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. And I've been taking a couple extra pumps, so I've taken like 3 pumps. And I just usually pump that onto the back of my hand. It's about that much. Used to think I got like 0 coverage with my beauty blender or beauty sponge with foundation, but I'm still getting pretty good coverage. And I'm just taking whatever's kind of left and moving that over my lid. That's going to kind of mute out some of that color on my lid. Like, look how much brighter that looks versus this one. I am going to switch to a brush, and I'm just using a big fluffy powder brush and swirling it around my Charlotte Tilbury powder. And I'm going to dust it just so lightly in the areas that I get super oily. So usually the center of my face and around my nose and lips. Okay, next I'm going to go in with my powder bronzer. Next I'm going to do a little blush. So I'm switching over to a different powder brush, just a big fluffy one. Again, same powder blush from before. And I sweep that more starting on the apples of my cheeks and back. And there's 2 blush shades in here. So I kind of go back, mix the 2, go back and forth. I'm going to go in with a little pencil eyeliner. And this one's from MAC. It's called Teddy. I'm just going to run that along my lash line. I'm being kind of sloppy about it. It doesn't have to be perfect. I leave it out just a little bit. Okay, next I'm going to go in with my little pencil brush and the smoke shade from my Charlotte Tilbury palette. I'm kind of just running that right over top of that liner. And next I'm taking a little bit fluffier brush and the middle shade. And again, just kind of running that right over that same area. I don't know if I'm loving this, but maybe it's like a Bob Ross painting. Maybe it'll get better at the end. I don't like how that's looking. So I'm going to take my beauty blender or beauty sponge and just kind of try to clean up that edge there because it got a little sloppy. And then I'm going to go back in with my liner. Ever so slightly flicking that out. Okay, next I'm going to take that pencil brush again. I'm not going to put anything more on it. I'm just going to kind of run whatever's left under my eye. next, because I've got to go to the other eye and there's now really nothing on it, I'm going to mix a little of my bronzer with that smoke shade, tap off the excess, and then again, to make sure I don't have too much, I run it on my back of my hand first. And then I go back under my eye. I'm going to take a little more of that bronzer and run it right along my lash line a little dark farther down. And then pushing it up into that flick so it connects it. So next, I'm going to take a little fluffy brush and dip into the highlight shade. You can use any powder highlight for this, or even just a light eyeshadow. I'm going to take it right on the inner corner, just to really make that pop. Okay, so I'm going to leave my eyes there. I'm going to go back with my beauty sponge and pick up the powder highlight with that. I feel like this helps give a little more of a softer diffused highlight versus if I take a brush a lot of times with a powder highlight, it gets really intense, and I don't like that. I mean, I like intense highlight, but I don't like a stripe on my face. Along my Cupid's bow, tip of my nose, pretty much all over my face. Okay, next I'm going to go in with mascara. Okay, so I made a little mess, so I'm going to take a fluffy eyeshadow brush and I'm just going to very gently blend that away. And you know what, now that I'm looking at it too, I might add a little more depth to my crease. I just don't like how blank it is. So I'm going to pick up a little of the bronzer. I love using bronzer on my eyes because I feel like it helps give everything a cohesive look. And it's less product you have to use or have with you. Liking it much better. Okay, so I'm going to pop off, do my brows, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So next I'm going to do my lashes. So I'm going to use my Mykonos lashes by Lilly Lash. They're pre-loved. I've worn them a couple times already, so they're already trimmed to my eye. Maybe next time I go to wear a brand new pair, I will film that and I will show you how I trim them down. But right now I'm just going to kind of clean them up, and we're going to pop some glue on, and I'll show you how I pop them on, or at least I'm going to try. Okay, so today I'm using the Duo glue, and I'm using the dark tone one. I don't always use this one, but it's what I have right now, so that's what I'm using. So I squirt a little out on the back of my hand, and then I take my finger. Now if I'm doing this for a client, a lot of times I use the side of a Q-tip, but this is just for myself, so you don't have to be super clean. I mean, you still have to be clean, but I can use my own finger for my own eyeball. There's a lot to it as far as sanitation for doing makeup for a client versus yourself. But for ourselves, we can do things a little differently. So I run the glue along the lash line, just a very slight bit. You probably can't even see that. And then I just set them back in their case and let them kind of dry while I do the other one. Again, same thing, stick it back in the case. I'm gonna kind of wipe off that glue off my finger. Okay, now here's my big trick. A lot of people do this, so it's really not a big trick, but I'm gonna take my lashes. So I'm gonna take the first one, and I pick it up with my handy little lash tool. I used to use tweezers, but I almost poked my eye out way too many times, so I finally went out and bought an actual lash tool. And I'm going to take my compact, and I'm going to hold it down below and look down into it while I place these on my lash line. And normally I secure the outer edge first. Today I kind of did it backwards, but it's still not fully dry, so I can kind of move it around a little bit. But that's pretty much it. I mean, how fast is that? It's still a little wet. I know some people let theirs dry down a lot more than I do, but I like to feel a little bit of the tackiness, and I like the fact that I can move it around. So normally, like I said, I don't use the dark tone one because if the dark tone glue gets somewhere else, it dries black. I usually use the white one, or it goes on white and it dries clear, because then that way if it gets somewhere else, it's just clear. So same thing on the other side. Just like my eyebrows, this side's always a little more finicky. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to let them chill out for a little bit, and then I'm going to go back in with this and squeeze them together with my natural lash. And that just helps really blend out that separation between your natural lash and the falsies. Okay, for lips today, I'm going to use my lip pencil from MAC in Whirl. It's just a really nice kind of nudie brown color. And I start at the outer corners and I work my way in. Same thing on the bottom. And I tend to slightly overdraw my bottom just because there's like a little lip on my lip. And it looks weird if I go inside of it, so I go just to the outside. On the top, I really don't overline. If anything, sometimes I will more connect my Cupid's bow and make it less prominent. Mine's pretty prominent, but if you fill it in a little bit and make it more straight, it gives the appearance of fuller, more youthful lips. So sometimes I do that, but it's kind of obvious if you're up close, but if you're just going to be in pictures, nobody can usually tell. I'm using a pretty nude lip today over top this, so I kind of go through and sketch a little farther into my lip, so that way you can't really see a super defined line. I like a super defined line on the outside, but on the inside of my lip, I don't want to see that. Just because as much as I loved the 90s, I did not love the 90s lip. I mean, there's a time and a place for it, but today is not that place. Okay, so next I'm going with my MAC Cream Cup, which is just a really soft nude pink. That might be too pink. That's pretty pink. I'm not normally that much of a nude pink person. Or pink lip person, I mean. It's not too bad. I'll leave it. So I might even take my liner again to tone down some of that pink. Kind of run it along the edges. It gives you like that ombre lip effect. And then next I'm going to take a really shiny gloss. This is by Too Faced. It's the lip injection. So it does get a little tingly, so if you don't like tingles, you won't like it, but I love it. Go back in with my lash tool. So that's a little bit more glamorous look. There's not much to it. It's pretty simple, not a lot of products as far as on the eyes, nothing real complicated. The lashes kind of finish everything for me, so even there's many days that I just do my face like this and then I don't do anything on my eyes at all and just pop on lashes. So you can kind of take this whatever direction you want. Would you guys like to see a more glamorous eye look, like a more in-depth like eyeshadow look? Let me know below and I will work on it, and you let me know what you want to see. Thanks. Have a good Sunday.